January 1961. Boston, Massachusetts. 2 a.m. A police cruiser pulls over a beaten-up 1955 Chevy. Broken taillight. Routine stop. Two young men inside. Both in their early 20s. Both looking nervous. The officer walks to the driver's side window. Shines his flashlight inside. License and registration. The driver hands them over. Name, Bruce Cohen. Age 23. Clean record. The officer looks at the passenger. Dark hair. Intense eyes. Thin. Malnourished looking. Wearing a cheap jacket 2 sizes too big. ID? The passenger reaches into his jacket pocket. And that's when the officer sees it. The bulge. The unmistakable outline of something metal. Something gun-shaped. Keep your hands where I can see them, the officer shouts. Hand on his own weapon. Backup called immediately. Within minutes, 3 more police cars arrive. Lights flashing. The street lit up like daytime. The passenger is pulled from the car. Hands behind his back. Patted down. And there it is. A .38 revolver. Loaded. 6 bullets. You're under arrest for illegal possession of a firearm. The young man doesn't resist. Doesn't fight. Just stands there. Handcuffed. Silent. Looking at the ground. Thinking one thought over and over. My life is over. I'm going to prison. This is how it ends. His name? Alfredo James Pacino. But everyone calls him Al. And in this moment, at age 21, with a loaded gun in his pocket and handcuffs on his wrists, Al Pacino is one decision away from a life he'll never escape. Prison. A criminal record. The end of any dream he ever had. But what happens in the next 24 hours? It's going to change everything. Not just for Al Pacino. But for the entire history of cinema. Let's rewind. How did Al Pacino end up in Boston at 2 a.m. with a loaded gun? The answer is simple and tragic. Desperation. Poverty. And the streets of New York in 1961. Al Pacino grew up in the South Bronx. One of the toughest neighborhoods in America. His parents separated when he was 2. His father left. His mother struggled. They had nothing. Lived in his grandparents' tiny apartment. 5 people. 2 rooms. Poverty that suffocates. That crushes dreams before they even form. School was hell for Al. He didn't fit. Couldn't focus. Teachers said he was stupid. Unteachable. A waste of time. He dropped out at 17. No diploma. No skills. No future visible on any horizon. But he had one thing. One dream. One obsession that wouldn't leave him alone no matter how impossible it seemed. Acting. He didn't know why he loved it. Didn't understand where the passion came from. But when he watched movies, when he saw actors become other people, live other lives, something inside him woke up. Something that said, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's who I'm supposed to be. So at 17, Al Pacino started taking acting classes. At Herbert Berghoff's studio. Paying with money he made from whatever jobs he could find. Delivery boy. Janitor. Usher at movie theaters. Anything that paid. Anything that left him time to act. But the classes cost money. Living cost money. Food cost money. And Al Pacino had none. By age 19, he was sleeping on friends' couches. In subway stations. Anywhere free. Eating 1 meal a day if he was lucky. Stealing food when he wasn't. And the streets of the South Bronx? They don't forgive poverty. They don't wait for you to figure out your dreams. They take. They consume. They pull you into darkness whether you want to go or not. 1960. Al Pacino is 20 years old. Still chasing the acting dream. Still broke. Still hungry. But now something else is happening. His childhood friends, the guys he grew up with, they're not struggling actors. They're street guys. Hustlers. Small-time criminals. And they're making money. Real money. While Al Pacino is starving for art, they're eating well on crime. One of them, Ray, pulls Al aside one day. Al, what are you doing? You're killing yourself for this acting thing and you got nothing. No money. No food. No future. Come work with us. Easy money. No risk. Just deliveries. Al Pacino knows what deliveries means. Illegal goods. Probably drugs. Probably worse. But he's hungry. Literally hungry. Hasn't eaten in 2 days. And Ray is offering $50 for one night's work. $50 that could pay for a week of food. A week of acting classes. A week of pursuing the dream. I can't, Al says. That's not who I am. Who are you, Al? A starving actor nobody knows? Or a smart kid who survives? Al Pacino walks away. Refuses the offer. Because even in the depths of poverty, even when his stomach is eating itself, he knows. If he crosses that line, if he becomes a criminal, the dream dies. Acting requires truth. Requires soul. And you can't access truth if you're lying about who you are every day. But the streets don't let you go that easily. Winter 1960 to 1961. The coldest winter in New York in 20 years. Al Pacino is sleeping in subway stations to stay warm. His acting classes are going well. Teachers say he has talent. Real talent. But talent doesn't pay rent. Doesn't buy food. Doesn't keep you alive. One night, Ray finds him in the subway. Al, you can't live like this. You're gonna freeze to death or starve. Just do one job with us. 1. Get some money. Get a real place to sleep. Then go back to your acting. Please. I can't watch you die like this. And for the first time, Al Pacino considers it. Really considers it. Because Ray's right. He can't keep living like this. His body is breaking down. His mind is foggy from hunger. How can he act if he can't even think clearly? What's the job? Al asks. Delivery to Boston. Tomorrow night. You ride with me. We drop off a package. We drive back, $100 for you. Clean. Simple. Safe. $100. That's 2 months of food. That's safety. That's survival. Okay, Al Pacino says. One time. That's it. Ray smiles. That's all you need, brother. One time. But Ray gives Al something else. Something that will change everything. Take this, he says, handing Al a .38 revolver. Boston's rough. You need protection. Al Pacino has never held a gun before. It feels heavy. Foreign. Wrong. I don't need this. You do. Trust me. Just keep it in your jacket. You won't use it. It's just insurance. Al Pacino takes the gun. Puts it in his pocket. And makes a decision that will haunt him for the rest of his life. A decision that will either destroy him or save him. He doesn't know which yet. January 1961. The drive to Boston. Ray is driving. Al Pacino in the passenger seat. Gun in his jacket pocket. Package in the trunk. Neither of them talking much. Both nervous. Both pretending they're not. They arrive in Boston. 11 p.m. Drive to an address in a rough neighborhood. Ray gets out. Takes the package. Goes into a building. Al Pacino waits in the car. Heart pounding. Every instinct screaming this is wrong. This is not who you are. This is not your path. Ray comes back 20 minutes later. Smiling. Done. Easy money. Let's go home. They drive. Heading back to New York. And Al Pacino is thinking, I did it. One job. Got the money. Never doing this again. Back to acting. Back to the dream. This was just survival. Just one night. It doesn't define me. But then the taillight burns out. And the police pull them over. And everything changes. Boston Police Station. 3 a.m. Al Pacino sits in an interrogation room. Handcuffed to a table. The gun on the table in front of him. Evidence. Proof of a crime. Illegal possession of a firearm. In Massachusetts in 1961, that's serious. That's prison time. A detective walks in. Middle-aged. Tired. Seen everything. Sits down across from Al, opens a file. Reads. Alfredo Pacino. Age 21. South Bronx. No prior arrests. No record. First offense. He looks up. What's a clean kid from New York doing in Boston at 2 a.m. with a loaded gun? Al Pacino doesn't answer. Doesn't know what to say. Doesn't want to implicate Ray. Doesn't want to admit what they were doing. So he just sits there. Silent. Let me tell you how this goes, the detective says. You're carrying an illegal weapon. That's a felony in Massachusetts. You're looking at 2 to 5 years in prison. You'll be out when you're 26. Maybe. If you're lucky. And when you get out? Felon record. Can't get a job. Can't vote. Can't do anything. Your life is over before it started. That's your future. Unless you talk. Tell me who gave you the gun. What you were doing here. Who you were working for. Give me something. And maybe, I can help you. Al Pacino looks at the detective. And makes another decision. A decision that defines who he is. Who he'll always be. I can't tell you that. I won't rat on anyone. The gun is mine. I take responsibility. Whatever happens, happens. The detective stares at him. Surprised. Most kids in this situation talk immediately. Throw everyone under the bus to save themselves. But this kid? He's got a code. Stupid. But honorable. You're protecting someone who gave you a gun and put you in this situation. I made my own choices. I'm responsible for them. The detective leans back. Studies Al Pacino. Sees something. Something different. This isn't a criminal. This is a kid who made a bad decision. One bad decision. In a life of trying to survive. What do you do for a living, Alfredo? I'm an actor. Trying to be, anyway. The detective almost laughs. An actor? With a gun? That's a new one. I know how it sounds. But it's true. I study acting. Herbert Berghoff Studio in New York. I want to be a serious actor. Method acting. Truth. Not Hollywood stuff. Real performance. So what are you doing in Boston with a gun instead of in New York acting? And Al Pacino tells the truth. The whole truth. The poverty. The hunger. The desperation. The one-time job for survival. The gun he didn't want. The decision he regrets the moment the police pulled them over. He doesn't defend himself. Doesn't make excuses. Just tells the truth. Raw. Painful. Honest. The detective listens. And when Al Pacino finishes, the detective says something unexpected. I believe you. I think you're a stupid kid who made a stupid decision. But I don't think you're a criminal. Not yet. But you're about to become one. Because if you go to prison for this, you'll come out a criminal. That's how prison works. It doesn't reform people. It creates criminals. And I don't want that for you. So here's what's going to happen. You're spending the night in holding. Tomorrow morning, you see the judge. And you better pray he sees what I see. Because if he doesn't, your acting career is over before it starts. The holding cell. 4 a.m. Al Pacino sits on a metal bench. Surrounded by actual criminals. Drunks. Thieves. Violent offenders. Men who've been in and out of prison their whole lives. And they look at Al Pacino, skinny, young, terrified, and they know. This kid doesn't belong here. This kid is prey. One of them, a big guy with scars and prison tattoos, sits next to Al, first time. Al nods. What they get you for? Gun possession. The guy laughs. That's nothing. You'll do a year. Maybe 2. Easy time. A year? Al Pacino's voice cracks. I can't. I have acting classes. I have auditions coming up. I can't lose a year. Kid, you're in the system now. The system doesn't care about your acting classes. You're just another number. Another body. Get used to it. Al Pacino sits there. And for the first time in his life, he truly understands. One decision. One gun in his pocket. And his entire future is gone. The Godfather? Never happens. Scarface? Doesn't exist. Al Pacino the actor? Dies in a Boston holding cell at age 21 and becomes Al Pacino the ex-con. The failure. The cautionary tale. He puts his head in his hands. And thinks about his mother. About how disappointed she'd be. About how hard she worked to give him any chance at life. And he threw it away for $100 and a ride to Boston. He thinks about his acting teachers. Who saw potential in him. Who believed in him. Who told him he could be great. And now they'll never know. Because he'll be in prison. Learning how to be a criminal instead of an artist. He thinks about Marlon Brando. His hero. The actor he wants to be. And he knows, Brando would never be this stupid. Brando would never throw away his talent for one night of easy money. And Al Pacino makes a VOW. If he gets out of this. If some miracle happens and he doesn't go to prison. He will never stray from the path again. Never let survival override purpose. Never let fear override truth. He will be an actor. Or he will be nothing. But he will never be this again. Never be the guy in the holding cell with a gun charge wondering what could have been, the holding cell. The fear. The regret. And tomorrow morning, the judge. The decision that will either end Al Pacino's life before it begins. Or give him a second chance he doesn't deserve but desperately needs. What does the judge do? How does Al Pacino escape prison? And what happens when he gets back to New York? 8 a.m. Boston Municipal Court. Al Pacino is brought in. Still in the same clothes from last night. Unwashed. Exhausted. Terrified. Handcuffed. Led into the courtroom by a bailiff. Sits at the defendant's table. No lawyer. Can't afford one. Public defender will be assigned if he's lucky. The courtroom is packed. Dozens of cases. DUIs. Assaults. Thefts. Prostitution. Drug charges. The daily parade of human mistakes and bad decisions processed through the system like factory products on an assembly line. Al Pacino waits. Watches case after case. Most take less than 5 minutes. Guilty. Fine. Probation. Jail time. Next. The efficiency of justice. Or the appearance of it. Finally, his name is called. Commonwealth of Massachusetts vs. Alfredo James Pacino. Illegal possession of a firearm. Al Pacino stands. Walks to the front. Stands before the judge. An older man. Late 50s. White hair. Reading glasses. Face that's seen 10,000 criminals make 10,000 excuses. The prosecutor reads the charges. Your Honor, Mr. Pacino was stopped in a routine traffic check at 2 a.m. Police discovered a loaded .38 revolver in his possession. No permit. No registration. No legal right to carry. The weapon was loaded with 6 rounds. This is a clear violation of Massachusetts firearm laws. The Commonwealth recommends 18 months in county jail. 18 months. The words hang in the air. Al Pacino feels his legs weaken. 18 months. By the time he gets out, he'll be 23. Years behind in his acting training. The classes will have moved on without him. The dream will be dead. The judge looks at Al Pacino. Mr. Pacino, do you have representation? No, Your Honor. I can't afford a lawyer. I'll appoint a public defender. But first, I want to hear from you. Why were you carrying a loaded gun in Boston at 2 a.m.? This is it. The moment. Al Pacino can lie. Make up a story. Claim self-defense. Claim he didn't know the gun was loaded. Claim anything to reduce his sentence. That's what the detective expects. That's what everyone expects. But Al Pacino doesn't lie. Can't lie. Because lying is the opposite of acting. Acting is truth. Even here. Even now. Especially now. Your Honor, I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. I was helping someone make a delivery. I didn't ask what was being delivered because I didn't want to know. I needed money. I've been homeless for months. Sleeping in subways. Starving. And I made a bad decision. My friend gave me the gun for protection. I didn't want it. But I took it. And that was wrong. I take full responsibility. I'm not asking for mercy I don't deserve. I'm just telling you the truth. The courtroom goes quiet. Because this almost never happens. Defendants don't admit guilt. Don't take responsibility. Don't tell the truth. They deflect. They minimize. They blame everyone but themselves. The judge studies Al Pacino. Really studies him. Seeing past the charges. Past the gun. Past the circumstances. Seeing the person. Mr. Pacino, how old are you? 21, Your Honor. And what do you do for a living? I'm studying to be an actor. In New York. At Herbert Berghoff Studio. The judge's eyebrows raise slightly. An actor? That's an unusual profession for someone carrying a gun in Boston. I know, Your Honor. It doesn't make sense. But it's the truth. I want to be a serious actor. Like Marlon Brando. Or Montgomery Clift. Method acting. Real performance. Not movies. Theater. Serious work. But I can't afford to eat. Can't afford a place to live. And I made a stupid decision to make some money. And now I'm here. And I understand if you send me to prison. I deserve it. The judge leans back in his chair. Thinking. The prosecutor is ready to move on. This is open and shut. Guilty. Sentence. Next case. But the judge isn't moving on. Mr. Pacino, I've been a judge for 17 years. I see hundreds of young men every month. Most of them are career criminals. Started young. Never stopped. Prison is just a pause between crimes for them. But occasionally, I see someone different. Someone who made one bad decision. Someone who still has a chance to turn their life around. And I have to decide, do I send them to prison and guarantee they become a criminal? Or do I give them a chance and hope they don't waste it? He pauses. Looks directly at Al Pacino. I think you're one of those rare cases. I think you're a stupid kid who made a stupid decision out of desperation. But I don't think you're a criminal. Not yet. The question is, will you become one? Or will you prove me right? Al Pacino doesn't breathe. Doesn't move. Waiting. Here's what I'm going to do, the judge continues. I'm going to make you an offer. And you can accept it or reject it. If you reject it, you go to trial. And you'll lose. And you'll go to prison for 18 months minimum. But if you accept it, you have a chance. What's the offer, Your Honor? I'm going to continue this case for 6 months. You're going to go back to New York. You're going to prove to me that you're serious about being an actor. Enroll in acting school. Get letters of recommendation from your teachers. Show me audition schedules. Show me that you're committed to this path. Come back here in 6 months with proof. Real proof. That you're pursuing acting seriously. And if you do that, if you convince me that you're on the right path, I'll dismiss the charges. Completely. No record. No conviction. Like this never happened. The prosecutor jumps up. Your Honor, with all respect, this is highly irregular. The defendant was caught with a loaded weapon. The law is clear. I'm aware of the law, Counselor, the judge interrupts. I'm also aware that sending a 21-year-old first-time offender to prison often creates more crime, not less. I'm willing to take a risk on this young man. If he fails, if he doesn't come back, if he commits another crime, we'll prosecute to the fullest extent. But I believe in second chances. Especially for young people who show genuine remorse. He looks back at Al Pacino. What do you say, Mr. Pacino? Do you accept these terms? Al Pacino's voice shakes. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I won't let you down. See that you don't. Because if you do, you'll go to prison for a long time. This is your one chance. Don't waste it. Court adjourned. The gavel comes down. Bang. And just like that, Al Pacino's life is saved. By a judge who saw potential instead of a crime. Who saw a future instead of a past. Who gave mercy when justice demanded punishment. Al Pacino walks out of that courtroom. Free. But not really free. Because now he has a deadline. 6 months. 6 months to prove he's serious. 6 months to prove the judge was right. 6 months to save his own life. He takes a bus back to New York. 18 hours. Sitting in the back. Staring out the window. Thinking about what just happened. About how close he came to losing everything. About the second chance he doesn't deserve but received anyway. And he makes a decision. A real decision. The kind that changes the trajectory of a life. No more survival jobs that compromise his values. No more dangerous friends. No more shortcuts. Acting. Only acting. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is noise. Acting is the path. The only path. And he's going to walk it no matter how hard. No matter how hungry. No matter how impossible it seems. Back in New York. January 1961. Al Pacino goes straight to Herbert Berghoff's studio. Finds his teacher, Charlie Lawton. Tells him everything. The gun. The arrest. The judge. The 6-month deadline. Charlie listens without judgment. Then says something Al Pacino will never forget. Al, you just learned the most important lesson any actor can learn. That consequences are real. That choices matter. That you can't play someone truthfully on stage if you're lying about who you are in life. You went to the edge. You looked into the abyss. And you came back. Now use that. Channel that fear. That regret. That desperation. Put it into your work. How? Al asks. By committing completely. No half measures. No backup plans. You want to be an actor? Then be an actor. Not someone who acts between survival jobs. Not someone who dabbles while doing other things. An actor. Fully. Completely. Obsessively. Let everything else fall away. That's the only way this works. From that moment, Al Pacino becomes someone different. Someone focused. Someone driven. Someone who treats acting like survival. Because it is survival. It's the only thing standing between him and prison. Between him and a wasted life. He enrolls in more classes. Studies harder. Auditions relentlessly. Gets small parts in off-Broadway productions. Unpaid. Barely seen. But he doesn't care. He's acting. He's on the path. He's proving the judge right. Months pass. February. March. April. May. June. Al Pacino lives like a monk. No distractions. No parties. No girlfriends. No anything except work. He's in class 6 days a week. Rehearsing 7. Performing anywhere that will have him. Living on nothing. Still broke. Still hungry. But focused. Driven by the deadline. By the promise he made to the judge. By the second chance he refuses to waste. His teachers notice the change. Al's different now, they tell each other. More serious. More committed. Whatever happened to him, it worked. What they don't know is that Al Pacino is running from prison. Every day. Every hour. Every moment. The thought of that holding cell. That courtroom. That judge's face. It haunts him. Drives him. Keeps him on the path when everything in him wants to quit. July 1961. 6 months have passed. Al Pacino has letters from his teachers. Proof of enrollment. Audition schedules. Performance reviews. Photos from productions. Everything the judge asked for. More than the judge asked for. Proof that he's serious. That he's committed. That he's an actor, not a criminal. He takes the bus back to Boston. Same route. Same 18 hours. But he's different now. Not the scared kid with a gun. But a young actor with a purpose. With a future. with proof that the judge's faith wasn't misplaced. He walks into the courthouse. Finds the same courtroom. Waits for his name to be called. Nervous. But different nervous. Not fear of prison. Fear of disappointing the man who believed in him. Alfredo James Pacino. Continued case. Illegal firearm possession. Al Pacino stands. Walks to the front. Same judge. Still there. Still seeing hundreds of cases. But he remembers. You can see it in his eyes. He remembers this case. This kid. This gamble he took. Mr. Pacino. You're back. And you're not in handcuffs. That's a good sign. Do you have what I asked for? Yes, Your Honor. Al Pacino hands over a folder. Thick with documents. Letters. Proof. Evidence of 6 months of dedication. The judge reads. Takes his time. Reads every letter. Looks at every photo. Studies every piece of evidence. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. The whole courtroom waiting. Watching this unusual proceeding. Finally, the judge looks up. And smiles. Actually smiles. Mr. Pacino, I've read letters of recommendation from 5 different acting teachers. All of them say the same thing. That you're talented. Dedicated. Serious. That you have real potential. One of them, Charlie Lawton, wrote something that struck me. He said, Alfredo Pacino is the most committed student I've ever taught. He approaches acting like his life depends on it. Because it does. The judge closes the folder. Mr. Lawton is right. Your life did depend on it. And you rose to the challenge. You proved that my faith in you was justified. And therefore, as promised, I am dismissing all charges against you. No conviction. No record. This case is closed. You're free to go. And Mr. Pacino? Yes, Your Honor. Don't waste this gift. Don't waste your talent. Don't waste your life. You've been given a second chance that most people never get. Use it. Become the actor you're meant to be. Make something of yourself. And never, never, carry a gun again. I won't, Your Honor. I promise. And thank you. You saved my life. No, Mr. Pacino. You saved your life. I just gave you the opportunity. You did the work. Now go. And I expect to see your name in lights someday. The gavel comes down. Bang. Case dismissed. Al Pacino walks out of that courtroom for the second time. And this time, he's truly free. No charges. No record. No criminal past. Just a future. Wide open. Waiting to be written. Al Pacino takes the bus back to New York. And on that 18-hour ride, he thinks about everything. About how close he came to losing it all. About the judge who saw potential instead of a crime. About the gun that almost destroyed his life before it began. About the acting that saved his life. And he makes another vow. Deeper than the first. More permanent. More sacred. He vows that he will never forget this. Never forget that acting isn't just a career. It's his salvation. His redemption. His second chance made manifest. And he will honor that second chance by being the best actor he can possibly be. By telling the truth. By serving the art. By never compromising. By never selling out. By never choosing money or fame or safety over truth. That vow becomes his religion. His code. His compass. For the next 60+ years. 1971. 10 years later. Al Pacino is cast in The Godfather. The role that will define his career. Make him a legend. Change cinema forever. And during the filming, during the most stressful moments when the studio wants to fire him, when he doubts himself, when everything seems impossible, he thinks back to that courtroom. To that judge. To that second chance. And he remembers, you've survived worse. You've overcome more. You can do this. You will do this. Because acting isn't optional for you. It's who you are. It's what saved you. And that memory, that knowledge, gives him the strength to keep going. To prove the studio wrong. To deliver the performance of a lifetime. To become Michael Corleone. To become Al Pacino the legend instead of Al Pacino the criminal who never was. 2006. Al Pacino is 66 years old. Giving a masterclass at his old acting studio. Students asking questions about his career. His success. His method. And one student asks, what was the turning point? When did you know you'd make it as an actor? Al Pacino thinks for a long moment. He's never told this story publicly. Never revealed the arrest. The gun. The judge. The second chance. But these students deserve the truth. Deserve to know that even legends have moments of darkness. Moments of failure. Moments where everything almost ended before it began. So he tells them. Everything. The poverty. The desperation. The gun. The arrest. The holding cell. The judge. The 6-month deadline. The proof. The dismissal. The second chance that saved his life. The students sit in stunned silence. Because this isn't the Al Pacino they know. The legend. The icon. The star. This is a kid who almost threw it all away for $100 and a ride to Boston. That judge, Al Pacino says, his voice thick with emotion even 45 years later, he didn't have to give me a chance. He could have sent me to prison. And he would have been justified. I broke the law. I carried a gun. I deserved punishment. But he saw something in me. Something I didn't see in myself. Potential. And he gambled on that potential. And that gamble changed my life. Changed your lives, actually. Because if he'd sent me to prison, there's no Godfather. No Scarface. No Scent of a Woman. No me standing here teaching you. All of it, everything, comes from that one moment. That one decision. That one act of mercy. He pauses. Looks at each student. So when you're out there struggling. When you're broke and hungry and desperate and thinking about taking shortcuts or giving up or compromising who you are for survival, remember this story. Remember that the choices you make in your darkest moments define your future. I chose acting over crime. I chose truth over survival. And it saved me. Not just from prison. But from a wasted life. And that choice is available to you too. Every single day. Choose who you want to be. Then become that. No matter what. No matter how hard. Because the alternative is becoming someone you'll hate. And that's a prison worse than any cell. 2020, Al Pacino is 80 years old. Writing his memoir. And he dedicates an entire chapter to that night in Boston. To the gun. To the judge. To the second chance. He names the judge, Honorable Thomas J. McNamara. Long dead now. But Al Pacino wants history to remember him. Wants people to know that behind every great career, there are often people who believed when nobody else did. Who saw potential when everyone else saw problems. Who gave chances when justice demanded punishment. The chapter ends with this paragraph. I never saw Judge McNamara again after that second courtroom appearance. Never got to tell him how his decision changed everything. How it saved not just my life but countless others who were touched by the films I made. How his mercy rippled through decades. Through generations. And I wish, more than anything, I could have thanked him one more time. Could have shown him that his gamble paid off. That the scared kid with the gun became the actor he hoped I'd be. That his faith was justified. Judge McNamara, wherever you are, thank you. You didn't just save Al Pacino the person. You saved Michael Corleone. Tony Montana. Frank Serpico. All of them. All of us. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see. For believing when I didn't believe. For giving me the second chance that became my life. The gun that almost ended a career before it began. The judge who saw potential instead of a crime. The second chance that became cinema history. This is the story of how Al Pacino's greatest role wasn't Michael Corleone or Tony Montana. It was convincing a Boston judge that he was worth saving. That he was an actor, not a criminal. That he deserved 6 more months of freedom. And those 6 months? They became 60 years. 60 years of performances. Of truth. Of art. Of proving that judge right. Every single day. One gun. One arrest. One judge. One decision. And cinema was never the same.